Good morning, guys. Okay, so today we are going to look into introduction to state management. Okay, so we'll be just not looking into the introduction of state management. We'll be actually exploring multiple state management options that are available in Flutter. Okay, so like even though it is written there like introduction, still we'll look into depth and we will try to cover almost all aspects of state management. Okay, so but still there might be few gray areas which you need to learn by yourself, but whatever I am going to share here will be very much sufficient for your apps. Okay, so what exactly is state management? Okay, so far what we did was we have created some user interfaces. Okay, but we haven't created any user interaction with our apps. Okay, something like this. We haven't created something like a cart. Okay, even though we have created cart icon, we haven't created, like, whenever user selects an item from the browser, like I mean the index page, even if some item is selected, we are not actually tracking those clicks. Okay, tracking means not exactly like where exactly user clicked, whether this item is selected by user or not. Okay, like when the user tries to add the item to his cart, we are not actually adding that to the cart. We haven't added that sort of interactivity with our app. Okay, so that is possible through state management. State management is nothing but adding user interactivity to your apps. Okay, so what exactly state management means? Adding user interactivity to your apps. Okay, so like adding an items to cart or actually performing some calculation. Just imagine you are adding two numbers in your app, and like what you will do is you'll add two text fields and you will call it A and B, for example, and then when a button is clicked, you need to add those numbers and then provide the output, right? This kind of mechanism is called state management. Okay, so this kind of state management can be done in multiple ways in Flutter. Okay, there is not like only one way of doing this thing. There are multiple ways to do these things. Okay, and each and every method might have its own advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so let's look into this. So and state management in Flutter can be achieved, like at initial levels. State management can be achieved through stateful widget. This is where we actually try to learn about stateful widget, but our target is to use stateful widget as less as possible, right? So even though we are going to learn how to use stateful widget to manage our state, we are not actually going to use that in our apps. Okay, unless and until you are very sure that okay, adding that will not cause any impact. Okay, like unless until you are very sure that adding stateful widget to your app will not cause any impact, or and you are very sure about it, then only you will go ahead and add it. And if you feel like okay, if I'm going to add it here, it's going to cause some impact to the performance, okay, then you will not add it. So what exactly I'm saying is, if your app is not performance insensitive, which means even though there is a performance issue in your app and if it is still okay, you can go ahead and use stateful widgets. And if your app is performance sensitive, like which means that just imagine some bank transactions, some online shopping, okay, they are performance sensitive, which means that when some user tries to add something to the cart and if it takes so long time, user will leave the app, he will go to the other shopping site. Okay, so that's how it, like, and just imagine, for example, Facebook. You try to open some post, and if it takes more time to load, you will not be there. You will try to use another app which is much faster. Okay, so in generally speaking, like as per the researches done by researchers, like research papers, like in news, especially news, I read this kind of stuff. Actually, what they say is, if something takes more time to load, like for example 3 to 4 seconds, 3 seconds, if it takes more time, more than 3 seconds to load, 3 or 7 seconds, I just don't remember, the user will leave the app. Okay, so this is kind of a benchmark. If you are making that, if you are, for example, you, when the app is opened and if you are showing some logo on top of it, and in order to mimic the behavior, you might be adding some wait statement, like logo will be loaded to this app, and then logo will be shown in the app. Whenever the app is open, logo will be shown there, and it will take, for example, 5 seconds to go to the next screen. You have just written some wait statement over there. You're not doing anything. Okay, you have just written some wait statement which will make user to wait for 5 seconds, which may like, and the average user wait time is, for example, 3 seconds. If it takes more than 3 seconds, there are more chances that user will leave the page. Okay, so if you're going to create some sort of user interface like this, you need to ensure that you are going to give only 2 seconds there. Okay, this kind of, like, you can actually google it and try to understand, like how much time user can actually wait. Okay, something like that, you can google it and try to understand. As you get more deeper into apps development, this is something what you can do. Okay, then even when you are developing something, you actually need to take care of this stuff. Okay, you should not show your logo for 10 seconds, I say. Okay, you should not show like that. Maybe 2 seconds is very fine. More than 3 seconds, you have to think. Okay, even if database operation is being performed at backend, you need to ensure that the database operation also doesn't takes more than 3 seconds. It has to be below 3 seconds all. And these things are absolutely achievable. Okay, there is nothing like you can't achieve it. Okay, these things are absolutely achievable, but we have to take care of these things while coding and actually testing our app. Okay, so state management is all about making your app responsive to user input. Okay, in general speaking, like even if you take Java or some other programming languages, when you are actually developing some user interfaces, you are actually making some user interface where there will be a button, and when button is clicked, the addition or subtraction or some calculation is being performed at backend, and user will get the output, right? That is also a state management, but there you use terminologies like event handling. Okay, so it all depends on this SDK how they call it, but in Flutter we call it state management. Okay, so when it comes to state management, we have, like, the topics what we are going to discuss is, okay, stateful widget. Okay, managing state using stateful widget. Okay, next is, give me a second, next is okay, next is inherited widget. Okay, okay, inherited widgets. So I was saying, right, like basically we have two types of widgets. One is stateless widget and stateful widget. Inherited widgets is a third type of widget. Okay, but it's not like that important to understand in depth. Okay, but you can use that for managing state, inherited widget. And then the next one is provider. Okay, so these are the three things what we are going to look into it. If possible, will look into block. Okay, block or something else. Okay, there are so many, if possible we will look into this, but these stateful widget and provider are very much sufficient for us to manage the state. Inherited widgets, you need to understand it slightly, so that when you're actually using inherit, like what happens is we will use inherited widgets while actually coding it, and we don't know that we are actually using it. That is the reason why I have added it over here. So these are the three steps we are going to look into it. Block, probably we will cover it later. If we are having enough time, we will cover this. This is not like, if possible we will do it probably at the end of the course, or we will try to fit it somewhere between our course. Okay, so these are the three things which we are going to do. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a project. So like, so far I have created some UI demo, right? So now we are not going to go for UI, right? We are going to do a different project, like state management project, right? So I'm going to create a new project. So now I have created a project. Okay, let me minimize the background. Okay, let me open the emulator as well. So basically what we will be doing is we will probably will look into set state today, inherited widget tomorrow, and then provider next. Okay, so each day we will cover one type of state management. Okay, so since you are actually beginning with Flutter development, set state is very much sufficient for you to start writing your apps. Okay, so once you learn the provider, you can try to change your code to use provider. So that's how it works. So if you're directly going for provider, you might not get how to use set state properly. Okay, so now we have a default app which is created, right? Let me run this app, and then in the meantime I will try to go through the code. Okay, I'll close this. So the default app that comes with Flutter itself is having some sort of state, if you clearly observe, because like let the app load. So let me remove all these comments in the meantime. Okay, so now the app is loaded, right? So if you go through this code, you can see that they have actually used one stateless widget, which is my app, and then which is calling a another stateful widget. Okay, so the stateful widget so far we haven't used, but in the demo app they have actually used. So, and here you can see that in the output there is a button. Whenever this button is clicked, the number is growing, right? So this is, we are actually making this app responsive to user inputs, right? So I am the user who is clicking this button, and you can see that this number is growing on, right? Okay, so that this is what meant by state management in Flutter. So far we have only tried user interfaces. Okay, we haven't tried any button clicks, even though we have tried this navigation like drawer and all this stuff. Okay, that is not exactly state management. This is what state management is. So we'll have two text boxes here, and then if I click on some add button, the numbers can be added. Okay, that is what state management actually means. Okay, so as I said, this can be achieved using set state, like I mean stateful widgets. Okay, stateful widget using set state. Okay, I will change it here. Stateful widgets using set state. Okay, and then inherited widgets and provider, and there are other frameworks also, which is like one of them is block. Okay, so we'll cover it if possible. So now we are going to look into set state stateful widget. So I will leave this app for you guys to explore. Okay, I'm like, let me not go through it, but in demo app itself we are having this stateful widget, and you can actually go through it all by yourself. Okay, instead of this, what I will do is I will remove everything and I will actually write a small stateful widget which will actually help me with performing some commutation, so that you will actually understand how a stateful widget can be written actually. Okay, so far what we did was, whenever we code, we actually create a stateless widget, right? Now let's begin with a stateful widget. Okay, so I'm going to go select, type st and then select stateful widget. Okay, and I'm going to give it my app. Okay, and then I'm going to resolve the issues. Okay, this is not an issue. So let's see if this app will run or not now. Okay, it is loaded. So I'm going to add material app over here. Now it changes slightly. Let me add some text. Let me make this center. Okay, so let me add some app bar here. Okay, see, okay, one thing I would like to share here. Whenever if you see that the brackets are not properly aligned, what you can do is you can just add commas over here, and immediately when you add commas, everything will be aligned properly. Okay, but you need to ensure that you are adding comma in the appropriate place. Okay, you cannot just simply add it everywhere you want. But for example, I cannot add a comma over here. Okay, it will throw an error. So but I can add commas next to widgets. Okay, because it has got multiple properties, right? I can add those commas, but adding these commas will actually help you with like formatting the document nicely. Okay, so now let me take a column, remove the center. Okay, take some text. Okay. So this is how we add variable inside a text. You need to give dollar. Okay. So let me create a local variable for this and then give 0. Okay, so not here. Okay, let me try with int. So now, like, we have created a very simple user interface only. Like, so far we have created only user interface. Even though we are using stateful widget here, okay, it doesn't make much difference as of now because we haven't written any code for button click. Okay, so let me do one thing. Like, I'll add some code over here. Whenever the button is pressed, this code has to be executed, right? Okay, so whenever this button is clicked, you can see 1 2 3 is being printed. See, even if you are using a stateless widget, these commands are executed. Okay, print is actually being executed. Okay, now let me do one thing. So what I will do is I will take this times clicked and then, okay, I will make it plus plus and let's see what will happen. Okay, like, let me print, instead of printing 1 2 3, let me print times clicked. You can see that time clicked is incremented, right? So okay, see, here we are having an issue. When I try to write something like this, we are having an issue. There are multiple ways you could fix it. I can click dot toString off, which will fix my issue. Okay, and there is another way of doing it also. I'll use the dollar notation. Okay, and you could see that. Okay, you can fix the issues in two ways. Okay, so we have just given like this. I think I can just simply give like this also. Okay, even this is fine. Okay, and one thing you could observe here is, okay, so whenever this button is clicked, times clicked variable is having 1, but you can see that on user interface it is not showing as 1. When I click again, it is showing as 2, but on user interface it is not showing. Okay, 3 again, it is not showing, but when I refresh, like hot reload, you can see that it got changed. Okay, the reason is, even though some operation is being performed, the widgets are not rebuilt accordingly. Okay, so the text widget is not listening to this value, or the text widget is not called with a new value. Okay, so in order to achieve it, what we could do is, these are the mechanisms we can use in Flutter. Okay, so in order to make this number change whenever this button is clicked, what I will do is, as since we are discussing about set state, okay, using set state to change the values, I am going to use the set state. So I am going to type set state. Okay, set. So as soon as I type set, you can see that there is some suggestion. I can simply select this one. Okay, and then what I can do is, I will move this code here. Okay, so now I moved this code inside set state. As I click this button, you can see that number is being incremented. Clear, guys? Okay, so this is how you use set state to track like user inputs and then give some output back to the user. Okay, as simple as that. So we have used a stateful widget, and then everything else is same, and the other thing is, in on pressed we use set state. So let me do one thing. Let me comment out all the stuff. Okay, before that, let me just copy, have a copy of this material app. Like I mean that widget itself. So let me do one thing. I will create a stateless widget and see if it actually works. Okay. So if I change this to stateless widget, you can see that set state is not recognizable here. Okay, it says that the method set state isn't defined for the type my app. Okay, because if you are extending set stateless widget, it doesn't know what is this set state of. Okay, so in order to use set state, you need to use stateful widget. Okay, and one important thing I will share here. So when I'm actually creating something like this, you can see that so much of code is generated, right? Okay, you guys might be wondering, okay, how to, like, in case if there is no code suggestions, how to type all this stuff. Okay, the catch here is, you really don't have to type all this stuff. Okay, you might not come across such situation. Okay, even if it comes, it's fine that if you are not able to write it. Okay, this kind of code, okay, this kind of code is called, like this kind of auto generated code is called boilerplate code. Okay, so in most of the cases, like your programming ability is not judged by the way you write the boilerplate code. Your programming ability is judged by the way you write the logics. Okay, solving the actual problem. The idea behind this code generation is, instead of worrying about writing some code like this, try to solve the actual problem. Okay, this kind of code generations actually help you to solve the actual problem, like spend more time on fixing the actual problem rather than setting up the things, writing the boilerplate code. Okay, in like for when we created, so when we created our app, you can see that there is so much of auto generated code already. Okay, all this might be a boilerplate code. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about what's there, what's each line meant in pubspec.yaml file. Okay, you don't have to worry about what's there in the what's are all these files. You don't, that doesn't, you don't have to be aware of that. Whenever problem arises, you'll investigate it, and then if necessary you will try to learn that stuff. That's it. Okay, so this is how you manage state in Flutter. Okay, so we have learned the one of the most basic ways of managing state in Flutter. Okay, so tomorrow we look into inherited widgets. Okay, how we can manage state using inherited widgets. Okay, yeah, thanks so much for joining, guys.